Hello, I'm Dr. Jim Carlson, and this is a lecture on the book of Revelation, starting with the traditions from which it was born. When you talk about apocalypses, keep in mind that apocalypse is a genre of literature which became popular in a couple of centuries before the birth of Jesus. It is a type of literature in which God's truth in some way is revealed either through a vision or through a story about someone ascending to heaven and getting to meet God and see how things are run in the universe. One of the reasons that this genre of literature called an apocalypse grew popular is because there was a sense at the time that God was sending no more prophets to minister to Israel. That made people wonder whether or not the end of the world was coming soon, or even what God was doing, since there were no prophets showing up. The other point I want to make about the rise of apocalypses is the fact that people were no longer willing to talk about theological concerns. They weren't willing to talk about whatever attitudes they had towards God without talking about justice and retribution. You have to keep in mind that this issue had been in the forefront of the minds of the people of Israel for hundreds and hundreds of years, since they had been ruled by one group or another. They were unable to rule themselves or gain control of the territories until the mid-160s before Christ, and even then, when they took rule, they were absolutely struck with infighting and debates over who was in charge after they were able to free themselves from their oppressors. Being that that's the case, lots of people were interested in the question of whether or not there was some kind of justice and whether or not God would execute justice against the people that they considered their enemies.